Today is May the 5th, 2016. My name is Tanya Finchum, and along with me is Dr. Charles Abramson. We're with Oklahoma State University, and today we're in the office of the president of the university to speak with Melissa Meridith. And this is part of our gathering in the history of Phi Beta Kappa chapter here on campus. So thank you for having us today.
Sure.
Let's learn a little bit about you first, starting with when and where you were born.
Okay. I was born in Enid, Oklahoma in 1977. I grew up in Garber, Oklahoma.
You have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have 7. So I have 5 brothers and 2 sisters.
And where are you in the order?
I'm in the middle. I have 3 above and 4 below.
Ah.
So
And
it's fun.
What did your parents do for a living?
My dad is a wheat farmer and runs a few cows too, and cattle. And then my mom was a stay-at-home mom most of the time with that many kids.
With that many children?
Quite the job, yes.
Well, being agriculture related, were you in 4-H or FFA?
I wasn't, funnily enough. Just, I guess, got my fill of it living on the farm, and so did other things in school.
Well, on the farm, did you have chores you had to do, or did you get out of those things?
No, Daddy always came in on Saturday mornings, and if it was past 7, wondered, what we were all doing, sleeping in so late. I know dairy farmers get up a lot earlier than that, and some others, so I guess we got lucky in that regard. But always had to help run the tractor, or drive the wheat truck, or help sort cows, or.
So how old were you when you drove the tractor the first time?
I don't know that I know. I think as soon as you're tall enough to stay over the steering wheel and reach the pedals at the same time, then you're in a vehicle of some sort. So
before you got your driver's license at 16?
Yes.
I assume.
Yes.
Well, had your parents gone to college?
Yes, my dad came here to OSU and was also an AGR here at OSU with Gary Clark, actually. And then my mom did not.
Okay. Do you remember what year he graduated from here?
I don't. I should know that, but I don't off the top of my head.
And what was his name?
John Oldham.
Well, we can look it up.
Yeah.
And in high school, did you have a favorite subject?
I don't think so. I always enjoyed math. But I don't think I had a favorite.
I guess I should ask where you graduated from high school. I'm assuming Garber High.
Yes, Garber High School. Mm-hmm.
And what year?
1995.
And then elementary school?
I actually went to elementary school in Enid.
Okay.
For a few years. But then finished up at Garber. We lived out on the farm at Garber.
I'm not sure where Garber is.
It is about 15 minutes or 15 miles to east and a little bit north of Enid.
Oh, not too far from here.
No, it's about a 45-minute or an hour drive.
So on a wheat farm, I'm curious, did you drive a combine?
I have really bad hay fever allergies, so I always got out of most of the wheat harvesting piece of it. I could drive a tractor because that's just dirt, and so there's no severe allergies to that. But the wheat dust just always bothered me too much, and I had enough brothers and sisters that I managed to get out of that one. So,
well, when you weren't helping your dad on the farm, what would you do for fun?
in Garber, there's not a whole lot. During the summers, I was a lifeguard at a local there in Garber one year, but then Billings too. Billings, Oklahoma is not too far from where we lived.
Okay, now I know where that is. That's
Okay.
where the Bellmans
Yes,
are.
yes. So my parents' farm is right between Garber and Billings. So
Okay.
we happen to be right on the line of the Garber School District. So we went to school there.
Do they still have the farm?
They do, yes. Yeah.
It's still growing wheat?
Yes.
Or not granola?
There's a lot of canola in the area and soybeans and a lot more corn too. But Daddy's pretty much stuck to the wheat farming.
I know the canola's pretty this time with the yellows.
It is. It's beautiful.
I imagine you'd probably be allergic to that too.
Probably. I haven't ever been involved in that, but.
Okay, so once you finished high school, take us through your course.
I came to OSU and went to school here and graduated in 2001. I took a few detours along the way, but graduated in 2001 with the degree.
And what did you finally settle
Yes,
in?
business management is what I majored in.
Okay.
And then worked here locally for a company for a few years. And then went to work for OSU I looked it up earlier so I'd have it, in 2007.
Okay. So when you were a student here, where did you live?
I lived in the dorms in Kerr Drummond for 2 years actually, and then moved off campus with some friends I went to school at Garber with actually, and we had just a rent house here in town.
Did your siblings before you come to OSU as well?
I'm sorry?
Your siblings before you come to OSU too?
No, my 2 older brothers didn't, and my older sister went to OU. So I know she was a traitor, but she had a boyfriend that she followed to Norman, so that's how that works sometimes.
So you're the first in the family to follow your dad?
Yes.
Here?
Mm-hmm. I was.
What about the younger ones?
No, they all went different directions as well. So.
Okay. Well, it was, I mean, he gave you opportunities to choose where you wanted to go, that it wasn't required that you come here necessarily.
No, that's right.
Did you graduate, did they have a ceremony in
it was on the football field still.
Football field, okay. Not in the arena.
So it was hot that year. It wasn't raining, which was good, but it was hot.
Were you involved with activities on campus?
I wasn't. I worked most of the time. So I just worked my way through school. So I just wasn't as involved on campus.
And would you go home very often?
I didn't as much when I was in college as I do now. I go home a lot more now on the weekends to kind of help on the farm and do what I can. But I kind of enjoyed my space, I guess, away from all my brothers and sisters. And so.
Well, did you come with a car or did you have to?
Yes.
Hitchhike back and forth?
Yes. No, I had a car.
We've had stories of people hitchhiking. So
yes.
That's
No, I had actually bought it for my grandma, so it was an older car, but I had a car, so it was good.
Did you have a favorite professor?
No, not that I recall.
We'll probably still be here if you.
They might, yeah.
And you started to work here in the president's office in 07?
I started at OSU in 07 in the chemical engineering department. That's where I was hired in at, and then came over here to the president's office in 2010. So I've been here since 2010.
6 years.
Yes, yeah.
In a typical day, what do you do here?
My responsibilities in this office are the president's calendar, Mrs. Hargis's calendar, and Gary Clark's calendar. And then I also sit at the front desk and so handle all the incoming mail and just foot traffic and phone calls. So
Not really a typical day then?
There is not usually a typical day.
Okay.
The typical day is just the unknown. I mean, it's just always changing. So as long as you go with the flow, then you're okay.
So in 2010, the application was already in process by that point, or at least they'd tried a couple and they were moving towards this last one for Phi Beta Kappa.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recall how you initially got involved with that part?
How I initially got involved was the committee had met several times in our office. The Bobs and the Bob Grauman and Bob Sternberg, and there were several of those. They had met in our office several times, and I think one of the last times we were getting down fairly close to the site visit, Gary Clark realized there hadn't been a lot of legwork done on any of the specific details regarding the site visit, and so he came out with that and said, "We need some help." So, and that's how I got involved.
The Bobs. How many Bobs were there?
3, I think. Bob Spurrier and Bob Grauman and Bob Sternberg, right? And Bob Miller.
That's 4.
4.
Yeah.
There were, yes.
Well, change your name, Charles.
No, not Charles. And Sternberg came late to the process.
He did. Yeah.
Or what were some of the hurdles that you had to help?
The biggest thing I think was just the number of people that they needed to see in the kind of 2 full days that they were here. I mean, I think they came in an evening and then were here 2 full days. And there were just a lot of key people on campus that they needed to see in that time frame. And so there wasn't a lot of time for people to shift their schedules or not be available. They just, and people I think understood coming from the president's office. That helps a lot when you have a signature that says Office of the President, that this was important and that they needed to adjust their schedules to accommodate us in this case and to accommodate the visit and not the other way around. There wasn't going to be I can't do it that day, we'll have to do it some other time. So, but for that many people, it gets pretty tricky. You kind of don't give options. Dr. Crowder, I think, came back after and wanted to know how did I word those emails that I got all those people to be there when I wanted them to be there? Because there wasn't a lot of wiggle room. I mean, just with that many people in that small amount of time, we didn't have a lot of wiggle room for offering options. And
Roughly how many people?
I would say between 75 and 100.
Wow.
And some of them met in groups. I think there was a lunch with, maybe the department heads and those sorts of things, but some of them were ones and twos that we just grouped together in ones and twos, and they would maybe meet for 30 minutes and then we would have the next one set up to come in right behind them. So
You had to arrange all of that?
Yes, and there's a lot of little things, sometimes like the escorts, making sure there's somebody there when those meetings are over to take them to the next place so they know where they're going. And a lot of times, because we don't have time for them to spend a lot of time figuring out where they're going, we just need to be able to walk them from one place to the next. And then I think we wanted them to see campus, but we didn't want to parade them around campus the whole time because we had such a small amount of time. So just trying to figure out logistics of which buildings we wanted them to be in for those meetings, but still be able to see campus too. So.
Use the Ann's taxi a little bit?
I don't know that we ever did. I think there were 4 or 5 of them, maybe 5 that came for the site visit. So it was more than we could accommodate in her taxi. And I think we got lucky on the weather too, and I think it was fairly nice, and so they could just walk. Yes.
And that brings us to the topic of weather that you wanted to ask.
Yeah, we heard that the hotel where they were going to stay in did not have air conditioning. It didn't work.
Yes, we had them booked at the Atherton, which is very convenient. Being right here on campus, it means they didn't have to come from off campus. However, they're working on the vent system or whatever the cooling system is. And so the air was going to be off, and it was early enough in the spring. I think they were hoping, was it in the spring? I'm losing track now. That it was going to be cool enough, but it just wasn't going to be. And so someone from the student union or the Atherton went and bought 5 air conditioning units to put in their 5 hotel rooms. And so you could tell, if you're in the Formal Gardens and you looked up, there's this nice pretty hotel and there's just 5 windows that have air conditioning units sticking out of them. So we knew exactly where their rooms were from. And I felt bad for any other guests that were there that didn't get the luxury of a window unit. But it was very accommodating of them to do that so that we didn't have grumpy site visitors to start with. So that was.
Did you have any more
piece.
involvement other than saying we need this done?
No, I didn't. I mean, I didn't actually have to go buy them or anything. We had somebody else that handled that and worried about getting them installed, and so that was just another example of the campus being very accommodating and recognizing what an important visit this was.
Do any of the guests stand out of these 5 or 6 that came?
I don't remember anyone in particular standing out, which is probably good. That means there wasn't anyone upset or, usually if something's wrong, it stands out in your mind. So I think I don't remember anyone particular standing.
No other major hiccups besides that?
Not that I can remember. So that's good.
How about the Xeroxing of the applications? Did you have anything to do putting it together?
I don't think I did. And I wondered about that. Who was involved in that piece of it? If it was Christy Hawkins' office, maybe? She's usually the ones that's real involved with anything that has to do with numbers. Her office gets to generate those.
So we asked Bruce and he didn't remember.
Doing it? I wonder if it was Dr. Grallman.
He'll be interviewed next year.
Okay.
You're the last one for this semester this year.
But I don't think we had to. I mean, we made a couple of copies just kind of in-house to have on hand, but I don't think we were involved in, if we had to make mass copies of it. Maybe that was Dr. Grallman's office.
Scheduling that meeting was more effort than copying, I guess, too.
It was a little panicking at first, just realizing that we had all these people that they needed to see in that amount of time. But it came together really well, and we even had a reception, I think, for all of the Phi Beta Kappa members, I guess you would call them, that are current faculty and staff members that first night that they were here. And so we had invitations that needed to go out to all of those people, and it turned out good, I think. So
This was the first site visit too, period, wasn't it? The first time they'd come, so you didn't have
anything to compare it to.
Yeah.
Right. I think a lot of probably departments do a little bit similar when they interview faculty or department heads or VPs. We kind of set up, the different lunches and the breakfasts with the different groups and those sorts of things. So it's a little bit similar, but this one was just a much more important and a much more broad array of people that they needed to meet with on campus.
They came and went with not much fanfare.
As I remember, yes. I think they were here and I was nervous anyway about everything working okay and them being in the right place, but I think it seemed to work okay.
And do you recall where you were when you got the word that the chapter had been awarded to here?
I would have been out here at the front desk, so, but I don't remember if it was Gary Clark that probably came out and gave, the good news. I was probably where that came from, if I remember.
Okay. Have you been involved with it much since?
Yes, we've stayed involved with the annual induction ceremonies. We've helped make sure that all the details for that are arranged and the programs put together and all kind of the catering for the event, and just making sure we've worked with Dr. Gethner a lot on that.
And the budget, is that part of what the president's office does? Or
That's
is it
part
the
of it.
chapter?
Also, there's the endowment by Dean Stringer, and Perry Gethner has put something in as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a group effort.
It is a group effort, yes.
Did you hear of Phi Beta Kappa before all this?
I don't think I have. Of course, being in the business school, it wouldn't have been.
Well, and there wasn't one.
Right, on campus.
Here, so
Mm-hmm.
Charles knew about it from movies.
Well, yeah, from movies. If you like old movies, like The Thin Man, for example, I was talking about Phi Beta Kappa.
Okay.
And the game shows, the old game shows at the time was versus Phi Beta Kappa. And some people, when they die, it's put on a tombstone.
Really?
Yeah, so it had
Wow.
a very long history.
Okay.
And we've tried, as you know, many times to try to get the chapter.
Yes.
It's like over about a 30-year effort. And finally, we broke through.
Yes. Which is great.
When you got involved with it, did they explain some of the background, some of the history of this effort?
I don't know that there was a lot of time. It was more of this is really important. We need to take, this is your number one priority. I don't know what you're doing right now, but this is now what you're doing. But I think I just understood from the committee that had met and just little stories, bits in here of how important this was and how close we were, and everybody's fingers crossed that this time it would come together the way they hoped it would.
How much lead time did you have from, okay, we've got to get this?
It was about a week and a half, if I remember right. It was not very much time. And that's where I don't remember having very many problems getting people to agree to meet when we needed them to. I think there was maybe one professor that also taught in Tulsa that we had a little bit of trouble with, and not with the professor, but just, yes, getting the schedule shuffled around enough that, yes, she could be here when we needed her to be. So, but it was exciting. And then it was over.
Did you attend the reception when the group was here?
I didn't attend the group reception. We had a small reception after the site visit, I think, just to thank everybody for the time and effort and work they had put into both the application and the site visit. We had a small reception after, I think before we knew that we'd got it. It was just more of a thank you for all the, because it was kind of out of our hands at that point. They had come and gone and it was out of our control. So we had a small thank you. So I went to that one.
You should be a recipient of some of those thank yous.
Yes.
You should be.
Yes.
Was that in the hotel?
It was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With air
That's when I
conditioning.
that's when I got the football tickets. Yeah, it was President Hargis asked what would I like, football tickets.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
Okay. So was there a particular game or just?
Yeah, I just wanted to sit in the president's box. My wife is always asking, because I don't know if you met my wife, but she knows President Hargis pretty well.
Yes.
And so she said, well, Dr. Cheney can get seats, how come you can't? So this was my chance. So for me, that little gathering.
That was the bonus though.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, were you involved with arranging for the group to go to Florida for the?
Yes.
For the.
Mm-hmm. Since
For
I
the
handled the
conference.
president's calendar, it just kind of fell in line with my responsibilities for that. So we just helped make sure we were at the right hotel and everybody was going to be there when they needed to be there. So that was exciting. I think kind of one of the final steps in the process. So that was a fun time.
A little bit of a celebration in the office the next day or two.
Right. Yes.
So after you found out that we earned the chapter, did the office change a little bit? Like people had more smiles on their faces and.
I think everybody was pretty relieved that it was, yes, that we had done it. Yes, that it had finally crossed that. Because I think it had been done several times before. And a big sense of relief too, that it had been accomplished.
Any additional mail or visitors for congratulating and that type of thing?
I think when they gave the honorary memberships, or I don't know what you call them, to Gary Clark and President Hart, because they weren't, they didn't have a Phi Beta Kappa designation or status, so they were given honorary memberships to Phi Beta Kappa, and I think they were both very humbled and very honored to receive that. I mean, I remember that being a big deal, and they presented them kind of a framed piece for that, and President Hargis's still hangs back on the wall back there in his hallway to his office. So that was a pretty big deal. I remember that being, just a neat thing for those two to have been a part of.
And then there's one hanging over, and you said in Life Science East?
Yeah, that's our charter.
Oh, the
That's the charter.
actual charter.
Yeah.
Okay. Neat.
I guess you were aware of that, or if you're not, you know now.
Yeah, I do know now.
And then are we getting ready to induct the next round?
Yes.
Are you involved with that any?
Just again, helping set up to make sure we have the room and the catering and the programs. Gary Clark has stayed very involved in trying to help get the word out to these students, because I think it's still so new to OSU's campus. There's not a huge understanding with the students of what Phi Beta Kappa is. And so he has track down emails and track down cell phones, and if he couldn't get a hold of them that way, he has called to find out who their advisors are or who some of their professors are that they could get in contact with those students to try and let them know, you know, what a huge honor this is and what a great thing it would be for them, that there's no downside. And so he's really done a lot of legwork this last time. And I think Dr. Gethner said that this year was one of our highest, you know, of the 30 or 35 that had been selected to receive it. This year has been the highest acceptance rate. And I think Gary Clark has been a big piece of that. We sent, I know an email came out from President Hargis along with Dr. Gethner that their original, you know, offer or acceptance letter, and then a follow-up from President Hargis, and then another follow-up from Gary Clark, and then phone calls after that. So there's been a lot of work done from this office in general just to try and they also hosted a reception out of the president's home for those students to try and just imprint on them what a huge honor it is.
So this kind of stays in the back of your head through the entire year, I guess.
It does,
It's not
yes.
just
Yep,
one-
nope, we
one
revisit
event.
it every year, yes. So, which is good.
Getting air conditioning though was, I'm sure, was the major, was a major coup in a way.
So,
And we know that Gary Clark certainly appreciated your efforts.
good, thank you.
It all makes a difference. It really was a group effort.
It was. And I think everybody, again, on campus understood that, and I think realized the president's recognition of that this was important, you know, that this was something we needed to do, and became a whole campus-wide group effort.
And I'm sure you know that many people, myself included, when I came here, we just assumed that OSU had Phi Beta Kappa.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a great university, there's a lot of pluses here. And it was very surprising when we found out that it did.
And one of the last ones in the Big 12, I think, too, right? To get one, to have a destination.
Yeah, I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if OU and Tulsa can have,
Then how do we not?
or have,
Yes. Yes.
Were your siblings that went to OU, were they a member of it there? Do you know?
I don't believe so. My sister that went there is a teacher now, and so I don't think. And she's an elementary teacher. So.
Yeah, you were business, so you wouldn't have
Mhm.
necessarily been either.
Correct.
Me either. I was social work, so I'm sure I would be.
Yeah.
And I think Gary Clark wasn't he ag undergraduate?
He was.
So you wouldn't.
Mm-hmm. He started out as an ag teacher.
Yeah, and then President Hargis was business, so he, I think he was
Accounting.
business.
Yeah, accounting.
So honorary is good.
Yeah,
Yes.
well done.
Anything else?
Not for me. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so.
Plan to be here for quite a while longer?
I do. Yeah.
Go Pokes, and
That's right.
we'll say thank you.
Yes. Thank you.